everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Hewkii and Flammeus show. Today is a pretty special one because a special event took place a couple weeks ago. You might have noticed, avid listeners will have noticed, we were on a couple weeks break there over the holidays, and now we're back. It's the 12th of January as we're recording this, and we're excited to tell you about the first time we met in person, which happened just, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. It was a very particular and cool and special event that took place that definitely changed my trajectory, which was, well, shock, warning for anybody for anybody we know who's not on board with psychedelics, but we took ketamine together.
Yeah, we did.
And it was a very beautiful experience. Was there anything you wanted to discuss before we take the deep dive into that journey, or get straight to it?
Yeah, I mean, we can just, go a little bit into, we... First of all, I think the main thing we wanted to do was to play music together.
Which
Not
we did.
Ketamine, but which is difficult to do. It's
very, very, very
the most
difficult.
musically friendly substance. But we met at a singing circle, and we were jamming after the circle, and just letting it rip, letting the fingers fly.
That was pretty epic, actually, to get to make our first meeting such that I came over with Raquel, our friend, and picked you up, and we just went straight to the singing circle and jammed it out at the singing circle. And we were kind of the annoying guys in the corner, just doing whatever the heck we felt like doing over the because singing circle songs, for anybody who isn't familiar, are very simplistic, theoretically and musically. They're very repetitive by nature.
It's meant to be accessible for everybody, and that's the appeal of it, because everybody can come together and sing. But for people that are more kind of musically advanced, it's not always the most exciting. So it's always
we gotta create our own excitement a little bit.
But the thing is, you can't just overpower everything that's happening in the singing circles. You gotta kind of find your own way to do fun things without throwing everybody else off. But there were a few moments where you just hit some super jazzy interval and gave me this
the jazz look. You got the jazz look.
Yeah. Boy.
And I think both of us were lucky to not get the death look from the coordinator.
Right. It's a fine dance too, you gotta kind of go under the radar with this stuff.
You stop noticing it after a while when you've been a jazz musician for a while. It's like the first time you hear a sharp 11 over a major 7 chord, it's just like, that's weird and uncomfortable, and I don't know why this feels resolved to some people, apparently, because a lot of jazz tunes actually end on that chord, a major 7 chord with a sharp 11. It's a very popular one to hear as the last chord of a jazz recording in a major tune, anyway.
I don't even know what an 11 is. Wait, that's like a diminished fourth? That's the devil's interval?
So like an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth?
Yeah, right.
And it's like... So you can think of it like playing a C major chord, but with a D major chord superimposed on top.
The Lydian sound.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love that.
So good. But a more common
major context, it's very beautiful. In a minor context, it's a little more.
You might hear it in this voicing.
Yeah, I use it a lot, actually. I as we spoke about before, I usually don't, I go up to the 9th, and then, I don't take it any further.
But to get you on those jazz 11s, man.
So this is the thing. I've, since our meeting, you just, you called me out. You're like, dude, you're a jazz man. So since then, I've come out the closet. I am officially a jazz man now.
You are. You so are.
But the thing is, it's so funny because I always identified more as a rocker, and jazz was always something I didn't want to study classical, so I had to study jazz. I didn't go as far as you have. Instead, I went to mid-prof. I don't know how you would translate that to English. But it's,
an intermediate examination that you can do for rhythmic music in Iceland.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is, like, jazz
And
for me.
jazz is categorized as rhythmic music for anybody who doesn't know,
Yeah, and
as opposed to classical music. Those are the two.
yeah, which does not have any rhythm.
That we could get into that. That's a lie.
No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. Okay. Not everybody is kidding about that, you know. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I know.
because it's a bit more ambiguous, but it's definitely there.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I appreciate both actually, but the thing is, like, for me, all this stuff, like all the institutions, it was like it's always it's not as cool when things are being imposed upon you from on high, from adults. And for me, jazz always kind of carried this kind of feeling of it's something that I'm kind of being some kind of box I'm being kind of pushed into, and I didn't really want to study. I just wanted to do my rock music, and
Rebel, rebel.
yeah, and never learned how to read notes, or just as much as I had to. But over time, I kind of had to, you know, re uh, kind of restart my relationship with jazz, because
Hmm.
not
Yeah,
from like something that's kind of being imposed from on
yeah,
high. It's just something that I'm genuinely interested in myself.
yeah. That's something I learned during my time at university. I graduated with a bachelor's in jazz performance, which I always get this wry smile from Helki when I say this. I graduated from the jazz performance. As I like push up my glasses.
Yeah.
And it was definitely something I did because I was told to get into it, at first,
You
even
don't have a lot of
during.
options.
No, you don't. If you want to, because society says, right, that, and I was brought up in this way by my parents as well, is that you gotta go to university and get a master's or get a university degree of some sort, and then you get a desk job. And so I was just kind of following that path, as a good boy, as a good student, not the kind of rebel to authority that you were. So I was like, I gotta go to university, man, I guess. So I want to do music and I don't want to do classical, just like you said. So jazz is the only available option left on the table. So it's where I'm going. And it took me a while to kind of integrate that into the kind of music that I wanted to create, and
Right.
not just because I went through the first couple of years of that degree with the biggest inferiority complex and the biggest imposter syndrome imaginable. Because I was like, I don't even listen to jazz. I've never enjoyed listening to jazz. I'm just here because I thought I needed to go to university, and this was the only thing that felt reasonably acceptable to do. So I guess this is where I ended up. And there were all these kids who knew how to solo over giant steps from the womb,
Yeah.
and I felt so insanely inferior because they were on home turf and I was not. I'm a singer songwriter and a Beatles guy, and there's a lot of things that I do extremely well and better than those guys, but that wasn't the stuff that was being valued during the
Right.
time I was doing the degree. So I had to learn to value myself, which was a
Right.
great lesson actually, and I did get to that point.
But I do want to give you your flowers though, because it's like usually, for me, the more interesting musical uh, sounds come from people that are not just fitting into a box, and the fact that you come from your own background and kind of infused some of the jazz into what you're doing, created for more of unique result than just somebody who is just playing giant steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, totally.
Um,
It can, yeah, some jazz students do run the risk of just playing what's called, what's sometimes referred to as Berkeley funk, which is the kind of music where you get into the trap of thinking that the more complicated it gets, the better it gets.
yeah,
Um, and that's kind of hilarious. Where it's just such an obvious like experimentation with a theoretical concept, and it's not really musical.
yeah. I do
And
enjoy
yeah,
some of that stuff personally, but I enjoy it in a different way. It's like I sometimes enjoy like seeing how far you can take things, but
totally.
but
And
it's
in that vein, I really enjoy challenging myself to take things really far, but keeping them accessible at the same time. That's the
yeah,
big thing. Like, how complicated can I make this without losing the listener, you know?
yeah, right. And I personally try to take that path too, and I think that is kind of the most exciting thing to do, trying to find that balance. But every once in a while, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna do this track here, and I'm gonna lose the listeners, and that's, or like I'm gonna alienate. I think a part of being a boundary pusher is that you're not going to relate to everybody, and not everybody is gonna understand what you're doing. And I
Mm.
think that's okay. That's just the price you have to pay sometimes for doing something that's very outside the box.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
I don't think it matters what you're doing either, it's always going to be the case that somebody isn't going to relate with it and others
right.
are.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
more crazy you go, the more outside the box you go, the more like the pool of people that are going to resonate is probably going to get smaller.
Yeah.
But sometimes they will, though, relate to it in a deeper way than if you were just doing something that's pandering to the masses. Because you're like
Yeah.
really doing something that's very unique, and then somebody's like, "Whoa, like
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like this
Supposed to
before."
aiming for the lowest possible common denominator.
Yeah, but the thing is, I actually find myself doing all these things. I find myself doing songs that are incredibly simple. It's just like four chords, just like some electro house tracks, and some of my biggest tracks have been that, and I love those songs, and I think they're almost childishly simple, but they're so fun.
Yeah.
And then I find myself doing just crazy experimentation, and then I find myself mostly doing stuff that's kind of in the middle. But I don't know. I think it's all valid, but it can come off sometimes as kind of pretentious to people, like just like this kind of masturbatory kind of showing off how
Look at all these notes.
yeah. But,
Can't you see how good this sounds?
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's so many MIDI patterns. Or it's like, do you see the complexity of this thing? It must be good.
Yeah, right.
It
Yeah,
looks like the Batmobile on the MIDI file.
yeah,
Check it out.
yeah. So
Yeah.
oh, right on.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Well,
that
yes.
happened. We jazzed out a bit, and I came out the closet as a jazz man. So, which is fun
Yeah.
because recently, since then,
Officially now, you're on record.
I'm on record. Yeah, and I have been jazzing it
Hewkii is a jazz man,
out.
in case there was any doubt.
But
So stop sending me those derogatory memes. You're one of us.
I will still like I will
Just
like
kidding.
maintain just a slight level of like outsiderness and make fun of jazz people and your carbonated 15ths.
Carbonated 50.
Um, but no, I enjoyed it. But the thing is, like, I find myself in appreciating all these different schools and all these different boxes, and like, I have a very wide palette when it comes to music. So jazz is just kind of one of those colors that I like drawing from. So yeah, I'll be a jazzman. It's cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's better than being a white supremacist and having a white palette.
Right. I mean, to be fair, some musicians do take that approach to their music. It's just like, my thing is the fucking, and all the other things can go to hell.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah, that's honestly fair. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit less harmful when it comes to music than when you're talking about, white supremacy. If you're
Totally.
classical, there's a lot of classical supremacists. I've had a lot of that, and
yeah, that. Oh yes. Oh God, don't get me started.
yeah. But the thing is, with jazz, it's like, this is what I heard from jazz teachers, is that jazz was originally not as kind of methodical or kind of hyper disciplined as classical music, that it was more of kind of a wild spirited culture, but it kind of had to prove itself as a field of study on the same level as classical. So it became very much, or took on a lot of the same kind of components that jazz has, like as an institution.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's correct, but this is what I've heard from.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. The most essential concept in jazz is that everybody has their own voice, and that runs totally counter to the idea of classical music, which is all about
right,
conformity and playing it exactly as it's written on the piece of paper.
right.
So I think that's a big part of the reason. And of course, I don't, yeah, I mean, you can debate back and forth where jazz originated, but it doesn't seem like it came from quote unquote educated musicians in that way. You know, it was more like free improvisation, and again, everybody finding their own voice,
Right.
and their style of playing is a very central theme. Like you can listen to somebody play the same instrument over the same song, but you can still tell it's them by the way they play it, you know, is
Yeah,
a big idea in jazz.
exactly. So yeah, it's yeah, it comes from blues, I think, and black culture, and what was it?
Yeah.
New Orleans was the
The it's one of the leading theories, yeah.
yeah. Okay.
That
Yeah, yeah.
but it's impossible to tell, I think. It's not something I've studied very deeply,
Right.
honestly, but I took a couple jazz history
Yeah,
courses, of course.
interesting note. I'm sure people have had this insight before, but like I had this kind of flash the other day of like these kind of two poles, and like if you really think of the extremes, you can have kind of the extremists on the classical side, which is just all structure and all conformity, and then on the other side you could have something like punk rock, which is kind of like I would consider like the opposite of classical music. You're not
Mhm.
even supposed to know how to play your instrument. And I related this like a lot to this comparison came into my mind to politics. Like when you have just too much structure and too much discipline, you get this kind of fascistic system where everybody has to be the same and everybody has to fit into the box. And then on the other side, you got anarchy, which is just chaos.
Yeah.
And usually the more pleasant place to be is like somewhere between those.
Yeah, you want both. You want freedom and security
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to have both at the same time because
And there is no like one point in the middle. Like I think it's cool to explore, like the
yeah, it's a
classical.
complicated balance to hit, you know, in relationships as well. You want to be adventurous and explore and have sexual freedom, but you also want somebody who always loves you, you know, and provides you comfort and security. So adventure versus security,
Yeah.
adventure versus safety. The ships are safest in the harbor, as they say, but they were built to sail the seven seas.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Anyway,
think- yeah.
dude, we teased the people. Sorry, I'll take responsibility. Actually, I teased the people about the ketamine, and
Yeah, we'll go there. I just think it's such an interesting tangent about music, and I love like like universal patterns that like replicate themselves across different fields. This is probably my favorite thing when I notice like parallels between different fields, and even if you look at like pictures that show like a neuron and a tree and a galaxy, showing that there are like some similarities to how nature organizes itself, but it's always fundamentally unique in some sense, but like there's a deep similarity also.
yeah,
So anyway, yeah, so I always enjoy going down those rabbit holes, but we can dive into
it's a good rabbit hole. Maybe we can find actually, we can relate this directly to the ketamine journey because psychedelics to me represent an avenue of exploration and adventure that definitely take you outside, that take you further away from security. And for the longest time, I've been very afraid of going into psychedelic realms and spaces and exploring stuff that comes up.
which is
Because,
healthy.
yeah. Thank you for acknowledging that, actually. I'm very, I mean, I learned it stupidly by doing a journey under suboptimal circumstances,
As
and
so many of us.
yeah.
But
And so that was about 5 years ago now, and I've been slowly rebuilding my trust in psychedelics because I recognize their usefulness in one's spiritual growth and growth as self-actualization and prosperity as a human being for a multitude of reasons, which we will surely get into over the course of this new year of podcasting, which I'm excited to do with various guests. But yeah, that was like the journeys haven't been many, and I've explored a couple different substances since then. I did a very successful DMT journey when I was in Guatemala, just about 1.5 years ago now. And I did another deep mushroom journey with a whole with a marijuana rocket launch, as they call it, in the middle, which totally takes you very, very, very deep or very high.
Be careful with that one.
Yeah. If anybody it should go without saying that we're not doctors or experts, so don't, we're just sharing our experience here.
Yeah.
So we're not liable for,
Right.
for any
Do not
bad.
sue us.
Please, at
Don't
your
be
own.
ending up like naked running the streets. Hewkii
Please.
Flammeus made me do it.
Please do make sure to have a trip sitter if you're gonna do this. Have somebody who knows what they're doing
Yeah.
and be in a safe environment. Anyway, I'm not gonna be dishing out advice,
No.
because again, not the person to do so. Just here to share my experience and how this has helped me. And this recent ketamine trip was the first time I took a psychedelic because you assured me. I was like, man, I'm still kind of scared. I still got this fear after that 10-hour misery that was my LSA journey just under 5 years ago.
If you want to hear about that, check out our podcast with Dante Shante. Don't
All
remember
right.
which number that was. Maybe
That was the one.
6 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went
Cool.
into very interesting journey. Like very, it's a good listen. It's a good story. A lot of the more difficult experiences make for.
Thank you. Yeah,
good
glad.
stories.
I hope. Yeah, I hope that helps, and I hope that serves as a cautionary tale. Because I can say with beyond any shadow of a doubt that those were the worst 10 hours of my life. Period. There's nothing that even comes close. So if you do this wrong, just yeah. Anyway, so I said, Helge, I'm kind of scared to do a journey, and you were like, come on, this is like, there's no way. Ketamine doesn't give anybody a bad experience. I've never heard of anybody having a bad experience on ketamine, and it's just you're there and back again in a couple hours, 2 hours. So that was enough to convince me, and the fact that I was doing it with you, and the fact that I trust you as definitely a bit of an experienced person on these matters.
Yeah.
And it was so true. Everything you assured me of was so delightfully true. It was just fun.
Yeah.
Just going into, and it just kind of sneaks up on you,
Oh, it totally blindsides you, and
It's
you
so
don't
good.
notice it's, but it's yeah. I'm sure it's possible to have a bad experience on ketamine. Like I've never really known anyone who has, but the thing about it is that it just seems to completely turn off the part of your brain that's responsible for fear. That's my experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's scientifically accurate, but it takes you away and takes you into that kind of state of being consciousness and very much an out of body type thing. And the thing is, it's not technically classified as a psychedelic. It's classified as a dissociative anesthetic. But I do group it in with psychedelics because you can have extremely psychedelic experiences through it, but in a very different way to many of the other ones. It's very fundamentally unique in its experiential qualities.
How would you describe it? As, I mean, compared with other substances.
Right. It's very out of body right away. It dissolves you extremely efficiently. And these different psychedelics, they hit different facets. I feel like some of them kind of hit the facet of love and compassion. And ketamine for me hits the facet of emptiness very much.
That doesn't sound good.
Well, actually, how we like normally conceive of emptiness is somehow like depression or something like this, which is actually not emptiness. It's full of depression. Or like it's not true. Like when you go fully into emptiness, there's
It's full of shit.
Right.
That's what it is.
There's nothing bad about it. It's like almost like when you think of deep sleep. It's that's a very empty kind of state, but it's there's nothing bad. You could even say it's good. You know, you enjoy deep sleep in a way, even if you're not conscious as a human being in that state. But ketamine is not exactly like deep sleep, but it has, for me, the component of emptiness.
Yeah.
Very strongly. But the experiential qualities they're so interesting. For me, it's almost like if you think of your kind of normal ego structure and your kind of this collection of memories and thoughts and emotions, which are, you know, fluid, but they're kind of crystallized in your current structure. And for me, ketamine kind of comes in like a butter knife and just spreads it all out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and what's so interesting about it is that there are things that are happening in that state that are completely out of they have no parallel in ordinary reality.
Yes.
Like completely and fundamentally unique experiential things are taking place. But what's funny about it is that it all makes complete and total sense in that state. It's like, of course, it's like...
Well, I guess that would be true of any psychedelic.
Not always, because sometimes you're like, what the fuck is going on? But for me, like with ketamine, it's like, of course, yeah, I'm existing as this 5-dimensional abstract art piece, and you know, yeah, that's exactly how reality is.
Yeah, that also kind of sounds like an experience anybody might have on any psychedelic. No, am I?
Yeah, it's true, but it's hard to describe exactly how it's experientially. Like, I don't feel like my heart opens a lot, for example, when I do ketamine. It's because it takes you out of your body. It usually when you are, I don't know, taking mushrooms or something, like you're feeling your body. You have tactile sensations.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very much unique to ketamine, I would say, in my experience as well.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like you're sliding down an interdimensional corridor with no sense of being a body anymore. It's, yeah. It's so, and it's so wacky as well.
It's so
weird. It's like, it's fun in a very wacky and hilarious way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was what really got me about it. What really sold me on it. It was just, it was so much fun. It was so. You remember what we were. You remember when we were kind of back?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're lying side by side in bed and like cuddling.
Yeah, right.
I think.
Yes, something like this. I remember I took like we held each other's hands and then we kind of screamed or something.
Oh yeah. The trip on that experience for me was that I would like come back to my senses, realizing that I was screaming. Just like. And it always felt like this kind of matrixy, kind of glitchy kind of scream that stays like a sine wave on just one exact pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
and
was
I'd
kind
just
of
be
resonating.
Like, no.
Right.
And it didn't feel like I was straining to produce the note. It was more like some huge force of nature was just breathing through me with the power of 1,000,000 exploding supernovas, and there was nothing I could do except let it through. It was just like, right. Like I was Nyan Cat just vomiting color and sound, you know.
That's exactly what went down. And what's funny and interesting about this particular experience is that I've never had this before in ketamine. I've never had this kind of hyper vocal, That may have to do with the fact that you're a vocalist.
Yeah.
And I think at some point we, melted into the universe, and then we emerged a little bit back. And how we emerged back was like, I think you would make a sound and kind of fill the space with the sound, and then I would make a sound, and there would become some kind of a resonance. And there was this kind of interplay happening between our voices and these different resonances that were happening. But it's not happening like in the normal sense of like a human being producing a sound. It's just like different vibrations were emerging, and then they were kind of interacting with each other and trying to
Yeah.
find this kind of harmonious balance point.
Yeah. I remember distinctly feeling like at some point there was another being with me in the room. I remember feeling coming back far enough, but to feel that it was the two of us, like me and then another, but not far. But I wasn't back fully, so that we were still very much in the psychedelic space. And I remember looking at you and feeling like we had to connect
Right.
as beings. You remember this moment when I was
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
we have to make a connection, and then we like reached out our hands like 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 ET or something, just like and then when our fingers touched or when our hands touched, I don't remember, I think we started screaming together again,
Yeah.
just like and then there's a vague memory of holding your face up to my face and screaming, "I love you."
Right. Yeah, it was all very kind of homosexual in that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
It's
the funny thing is, it was not tactile at all. Like for me, like ketamine, there's no kind of, you're not really feeling anything through your body. You're not connecting with another person like on a level of sensation.
yeah,
It's
no,
more
no
of
homo,
like
bro. No homo.
right.
It's like, no, I didn't
Yeah,
derive
that's
any
my
physical pleasure from this.
this is my convoluted way of saying no. uh,
I'm calling you out.
no, but it was a different way of connecting. It was more like happening on the level of consciousness, because you are completely disconnected from your senses, like your normal senses. Like if you were to touch another human being or touch a table, like your fingers are numb to the sensation.
Yeah,
And so it would be a very different experience to like what people describe sometimes on MDMA, like connecting with a friend or touching
totally.
their hand. That's very kind of sensual, and ketamine is not that. It's happening much more so on the level of consciousness than on the
Yeah,
level of the body.
yeah, totally. And it was very much like a universal kind of gratitude in the heart kind of love that I was taught. It was not the kind of romantic love, of course. It was more like I was just exploding with how much I loved this other entity that was in the room with me.
Yeah,
Um, and it was a reflection of how much I loved myself in that moment,
yeah,
with just this deep sense of gratitude. It was beautiful.
yeah. I was going through the same thing, and it was like um, this sense of being one being, and then at the same time fundamentally unique.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Well, what came up for me now is like it's funny that probably to a lot of people that have never done any kind of spiritual methods, that their understanding of love is very much connected to the romantic
To the
expression.
groin.
Right? Yeah, yeah. And that don't a lot of people may not have experiences or many aspects in their life where they tell other people they love them, um, that are not their partner, and sometimes even their family. It's too much for them to tell them they
Yeah,
love
it's a
them.
big thing in Iceland.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. People are fundamentally uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, my parents really almost never said that to me ever. I don't think when I was growing up it didn't happen. I've started bringing it in a little bit now, and they've started saying it back a little bit.
Yeah,
But it's like, yeah, it's weird, It's a weird word to use for us.
yeah, it is, and
It's almost like even with my mom, it's like no homo, you know.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're extremely closed up in this
Yeah.
way. We have this kind of deep fundamental fear of love, which I think probably everybody does, because if we're gonna go fully metaphysical, that um, if you become completely all loving, you don't exist as a separate being anymore because you lose your um, sense of self completely. So like for us, like love is actually on the deepest level synonymous with death.
Yeah.
Um,
Ego death.
ego, yeah, and so the fear of love runs deep in I think everybody to some degree.
Yeah. And psychedelics can really help with that, or at least
Yeah,
while you're on them, for sure.
right.
So
Yep.
it can at least be the catalyst that give you the experience for the first time, so you know what it feels like. Although you will come
Yeah,
back afterwards, of course.
yeah. It'll show you that it's possible. Um, but what was fundamentally unique about this ketamine experience is exactly this kind of expressive component. Because usually when I've done it, I just lay down and I go on this deep internal journey, and there's not a lot of movement or expression happening with my body. But this felt so completely liberating because I'm not like you. I'm not a vocalist. I don't uh, use my voice as much, and I've come to realize that my voice is very blocked. I never had
Interesting.
to rely on my voice as much. I'm a guitar player. I use my fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But using our voice is like an integral part of expressing ourselves as
Yeah.
human beings. And I remember how liberating this was for me, and especially like the value of doing this in a cabin that was kind of far away, so we could really, without fear, make all these crazy sounds and
Yeah.
screams,
Oh, it was amazing.
and I just remember how liberating that was, and like how much laughter and joy came from just really letting loose with our voice. And I think this is a huge thing in societies, that we have very kind of confined ways of how we're supposed to use our voice. You're not really supposed to scream so much. You're not like supposed to cry so much, especially not in public. People are gonna look at you weird.
Yeah.
Um, I know, some of these things may be kind of more specific to Iceland, um, or they may be more kind of
Well,
pronounced here. But I don't know.
yeah.
I don't have experience in living in many other places. But I know that's when it comes to expression, we are more stifled. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
when
yeah. Having lived in Spain and Brazil, I can tell you, it's not
yeah,
like that everywhere.
yeah. So it's
Although, even Spaniards and Brazilians haven't gone all the way into full metaphysical expression at all every minute of every day, of course.
right.
But yeah.
Yeah, but this is what happens, for example, if you look at people that do 5-MeO DMT, which just completely like a wrecking ball, just obliterates your ego and all your inhibitions. Um, Regularly, people will just scream as if they're being murdered
Yeah.
because there's so much expression that's held back that comes out. And
Mhm.
I lived with a person, Nix, who's been on the podcast, who used to work as a 5-MeO facilitator. And sometimes, I have memories of being downstairs eating dinner, and then somebody just sounding like somebody has been murdered in the house. But this is what happens when people are working with
Yeah.
this stuff, and like all this stuff they've kept in for maybe a decade comes
Yeah.
out. Um,
Yeah,
so
so much expression that's available to you if you're just willing to let it out. I've been playing around with this more and more myself as I free up my voice to even higher and higher levels. Because even me, I still got a ways to go. I
yeah,
still,
it's
I
so
do these weird noises now during breath work and stuff when I breathe out for a breath hold. I literally go. And it feels so good. It's like, and we're laughing because it's silly, but it's like, yeah, it makes us uncomfortable to make noises like that, but
yeah, because
maybe we
it's
need to rethink that reaction to it.
right. It's supposed to be confined to only sexual activity,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
more acceptable for women.
Yeah.
These more
It just
psychedelics.
try it seriously. As you're listening to this right now, just try it. It feels amazing. It's, it's just immediately everything becomes more juicy.
Yeah, this is so.
You remember
This
me
whole.
on that on the trip? Oh, sorry.
I don't remember that specific one, but
No, okay, I didn't do that, but I did a bunch of weird shit. Oh, a big one for me as well is letting go of judging the things that I say, the words that I use, and if I'm using correct grammar, and if everything I am saying is put in the most concise and precise way possible, because I got a lot of, well, I was raised in that way, to put it shortly. Um, and on that trip, I was saying all kinds of weird, silly shit just for the sake of it,
oh
you
yeah, yeah,
know.
I
I was
remember.
like, you remember
Yeah.
that? Without, like, totally unashamedly just being like, I'm a snake. I can go where I can't go as a human. And there's, oh my God, do you see God, God, God? God is in the bed, bed, bed. And I was just like, it's so much fun. And
Yeah.
I actually did another ketamine journey before leaving Iceland
Oh
a
yeah,
week
I
ago.
wanted to hear more about that because yeah, I gave you the rest of my badge.
And that was even like I went even deeper that time. And there was this, my trip sitter said afterwards, I did it with a trip sitter. Um, be responsible at home, kids. I I don't remember what it was because I was so deep in the psychedelic state. But my trip sitter was like, I don't even know what you did there, but you took like in like 2 seconds, you did like 7 words that rhymed, just like so it was like I accessed some kind of part of my brain that was able to come up with just this rapid rhyme scheme
Oh, that's so
when
funny.
when I wasn't in a state of mind to judge myself, you know. It was just I
Right,
was free.
right. Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna touch on this part that, like, when it comes to expression and making all these crazy sounds and uh, things that don't make sense logically. It's so tied in with our fear of judgment from others.
yeah,
Like we're
it's
just
really the only
constantly
thing. But what the fuck, man? They're not paying our rent. It's like,
right.
what
It's
are
just
you?
a deeply ingrained thing because when if you were excised, would that be the word? You know,
I don't know what that means.
excluded from your tribe,
Mm,
like an
excommunicated.
excommunicated as evolutionarily. Like if you did not find a way to properly fit into the tribe, you're on your own and you're gonna die.
Yeah,
So I think it honestly runs that deep, like conformity
totally.
and caring what other people think. It's like this also ties into fear of death. But
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Very justifiably so. And people, not to turn this into a conversation about sales and how to do them right, but I've been reading a couple books on that stuff as well. As a businessman with a service to sell, and it's so interesting how big of an influence it can have to just give something a little bit of social proof, to put like on a restaurant menu, like our customers love this item.
yeah,
It doesn't even need to have any proof associated with it, you know.
right,
That item gets sold 500% more that week. It's
right,
ridiculous.
yeah.
So we really base our opinions of ourselves
Oh
on what others think of us. And
yeah,
it
and
makes
it's
sense.
yeah,
That's why we became the dominant species on the planet, because of our ability to cooperate.
right.
So yeah.
But that's also why we had Nazism because everybody's like, well, everybody's
Yeah.
throwing up their hand. I mean, I guess this is the way to go.
My best friend's killing Jews, I guess.
I guess. I mean, why should I question it? This is what everybody's
Yeah,
doing.
should turn it into it's gonna be a really dark episode.
But
Just
it's true. These are the downsides of conformity. Is that this
pop-ups on the sales website. Jessica killed 5 Jews today. 5 stars.
right?
Anyway.
And
Oh.
I think I remember hearing about this in the context of football, like some research that was done on people that were just completely ordinary human beings in everyday life, and causing no harm to anybody. And then when they would meet up for football games and get drunk with other people, they would become like incredibly violent. And I think most of human violence happens in this way, like this kind of herd behavior, more so than kind of individual
Yeah,
singles.
a great book I would recommend on the subject of football club fans or any kind of sports teams fans and their rivalries and how to overcome those differences, which is extremely difficult, by the way. We just turn so tribal
Yeah,
in those situations. Is Think Again by Adam Grant, which I read recently. It's a
yeah,
very, very good one. I think I've mentioned that one before.
yeah.
It
You,
goes
you've
into
teased
this.
it. You've teased it. I've also recently been listening to one of Leo Gura's more recent episodes called "The Psychology of Conformity,"
Oh yeah.
which is
I
it's
I went like 30 minutes deep into that one.
okay.
It's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good one. It's what he says. Basically, his main claim is that like the ratio of independent thought is like 1 in a million.
Yeah. It's
But
very
this
it
is
was
where most of true genius comes from, is or people that are able to completely think out of the box.
yeah.
But you're always, influenced by other people, and that's normal. But it's, but yeah, I often also thought about this in the context of music. I remember growing up and like thinking like, do you guys even like this music, or are you just listening to this just purely because everybody else is listening to
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And then I thought like, wait, I'm probably influenced in the same way, even if like I'm not conforming to the kind of the mainstream culture. I'm just conforming in a different way. I think South Park did this best. They're like I think Stan wants to join the goth kids, and the goth kids are like, if you don't want to be a conformist, you just gotta be like us. You just gotta dress like us, and you gotta listen to the same music as us.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very much the case with like, because a lot of people think they're not conforming, but then they're just conforming to a subculture.
Yeah. They're
Uh,
conforming to non-conformity.
but the thing is, I just noticed myself being influenced in this kind of way. It's like I remember, I listened to some metal that was kind of more on the 80s side of things, even though that was like not always kind of my favorite, but I used to listen to some of that, and then somebody I was hanging around with was like, "Oh, the 80s, like this is, you know, stupid or whatever." He was like, he had a very bad reaction to it, and it took me probably a few years to really completely notice just that small comment having influenced how I relate and judge music. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, like, I would not kind of allow myself all the way to listen to music from that era, just because, like, I received a subtle social cue that it was not acceptable or not okay, and I think we're so malleable and influenceable in this way, like so much more so than we are aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. I would recommend reading a couple books on this actually. If you don't want to be manipulated, then you need to be aware of when people are trying. Like I the book I've been reading is called Influence by what's his face? Robert Cialdini or Cialdini, not sure how it's pronounced, but it's a great one. It goes into the like it's been the template for salespeople for a while now. The six principles that he lays down out in that book for how human beings can be manipulated essentially, and how we are manipulated all day, every day by YouTube ads, etc.
Right. And by friends and family and all the subtle social cues we receive about how the correct way is to conduct ourselves.
Yeah,
Which is the reason why we're not going around having fun, singing, doing crazy sounds, because we're
yeah.
afraid of being judged.
God damn it, guys.
Yeah. Gotta let loose.
Yeah, get everybody some ketamine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which is not known, as far as I'm concerned, to produce a lot of vocal expression. But at least not in my experience. But do it with Timmy. You'll.
Well, yeah.
But
There's no way around him singing.
but one thing I did want to touch on regarding the ketamine is that it does for sure have more abuse potential than any of the other psychedelics.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Because I mean, this is its blessing and its curse. The fact that it can take you to this kind of state of being pure consciousness,
I want to say for everybody listening, did you notice how much more attentively you started listening to what Hewkii was saying after I said, yes, yes, that's true. That's
That's
social
true.
proof. That's
That's
anyway.
he's using his manipulation tactics.
It wasn't on purpose that
The
time.
sly businessman.
It was genuine.
Um, but what was I saying? Yeah, it's blessing and its curse. The fact that it can take you to the state without needing essentially to work through anything. Like it's very hard, for example, to get addicted to mushrooms. I know people do it. People find a way to get addicted to anything, but usually the like
Mushrooms, really?
yeah, I
Is that a
mean
thing?
yeah, I mean I have heard cases of people doing it too much. I think it's maybe somehow more linked to kind of thrill-seeking behavior.
Yeah,
More
I can
so
see that.
um but yeah, but usually if you're doing mushrooms, the last thing you want to do after doing mushrooms is more mushrooms because it's so inherently confrontational.
Yep.
Ketamine is not the same way. It's the opposite of confrontational. It just takes you completely out of all your personal stuff usually in a very seamless way, or like it's just kind of like spiritual bypassing, I guess. But I think there's a place for just going into that state without necessarily needing to process all your childhood trauma before you go there. But
Yeah, totally.
it
Could be
just
so
provides
useful.
it just provides such an efficient escape hatch for people that don't want to face their lives. So I have seen
Yeah.
multiple people start to abuse it, to get addicted to it, get physically dependent on it. I've seen a lot of that, and I've even experienced some of that myself because I deal with chronic pain, and sometimes that can get extreme, and then you get kind of desperate. So I have definitely relied on ketamine in those circumstances.
Yeah.
So just a word of caution: this is not. It's slightly different to some of the other psychedelics.
And there's no real consequence either. Like it after, or at least I didn't experience any kind of hangover afterwards or any kind of withdrawal symptoms or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I have definitely felt some of that, and that's
Yeah?
definitely a thing. But those things are just so kind of personally variable. It just depends on who you are and your state of health. And I've definitely noticed it gets like if you do it more, then that pops up more.
Interesting. Yeah.
But
I was like, my initial reaction was just like, this was fucking awesome, and there were no consequences for it, and I want to do it again.
right,
And then
but
I was
usually
like, I should probably chill.
right. Yeah, but that's where you're wiser than many people because a lot of people don't have that afterthought. They
Yeah.
just think I should do it again, then they do it again, and then they just dig themselves deeper and deeper.
Yeah, you got to think a few steps ahead there.
Yeah, because when you're in that hole, it's a lot harder to get out of it. It's
In the 10th K hole, you mean?
yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, but there are some other areas I do wanna dive more into with regards to ketamine because I discovered some new territory.
Oh, okay. Where are we going with this?
So I, um, through the years, I've been able to access deeper and deeper visionary states through it, where you kind of break through into a completely coherent alternate reality.
Hmm.
So it's like completely stable, and you can look around, um, and it's there, and it's almost just as if you're awake.
Mm.
But reality has been completely replaced, or the content of reality, like the reality, the sense of being aware, is always there, and it's always the same. It's the only thing that can't change.
Mm.
But your entire sensory experience can completely be replaced. And I was able recently to break through to some completely new terrain.
Interesting.
Just
Where did you go?
completely indescribable alternate realities that have no parallel to our reality, almost as if you enter into a different universe that operates by completely different physical laws.
Mm.
So things are possible there that are not possible in any way in our limited universe. So yeah, but it's extremely hard to talk about. It's almost just like, yeah, you take all the
Yeah.
building blocks of reality and turn them inside out, and you're just
All the physical laws, you mean, and such.
yeah. It's just everything is just completely replaced.
What were you were you able to fly or like jump infinitely high or something like that? Or
It's beyond that, because in that state you're not even a body anymore.
Yeah, right.
You're just a perspective, but it's like just kind of galaxies and civilizations and
Wow.
you know,
How did
completely
wait?
cosmic.
What was the passage of time for you?
What was my experience of time? You mean that state?
Yeah. Did it feel
Um,
like you could see entire civilizations rise and fall?
very much like that. Yeah, yeah.
That's wild.
It's not the normal kind of concept of time. You're all like you're out of time in that way. It's not exactly the same as kind of the non-dual state where you're just completely out of time. There's no time. This is still a dualistic experience. It's probably kind of close to how people describe DMT. It's like there is still a subject object. There's like a visionary experience being had, and there's a perceiver, and all that stuff. It's not the same as doing 5-MeO, but it's extremely interesting. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had that kind of experience of not being a body as well, but it sounds like you're describing something a bit more profound.
Yeah, it was the visionary component. I mean, there's always some visionary component, and ketamine is usually kind of more black and white. It's usually not kind of so kaleidoscopic as it's not the same kind of seeing as you see with your eyes. It's very different. But yeah, these were just kind of orders of magnitude beyond, like, in terms of visionary phenomena.
Interesting. I went like, so you did this after our journey together, I
Yeah.
presume.
Yeah.
So the one that I did, I went into kind of new, unexplored terrain as well for myself, where I was able to kind of be in the site. I had a blindfold on, and I was journeying with a trip sitter and a friend of mine who I wanted to, like, I offered that he would get half and I would get half of what I had left. That was enough for us to go on a deep journey together because he was kind of going through something. So I was kind of in the role of a coordinator and a space holder as well, and just kind of journeying into it with him. And we had our trip sitter as well. And I remember, even though I had a blindfold on, I was able to see him. It was really wild. It was like I was Neo in the Matrix.
It's I resonate
You know what I
with
mean?
that. It's the different kind of seeing that's not mediated through your sensory input.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mind seeing.
I was able to see, like I was able to recognize that I was an entity and I was still in that K-hole space almost, but it was also exploding with color and light at the same time. And I was in the room that I was in, but I was kind of like, I don't know, I was in my head and I was me, but I was also like behind me, and and I felt very powerful. You know, it felt like I had magic powers now because I was in the world, but I was also conscious of, like, I was conscious of being in the world and conscious of being me and conscious of having like crazy psychedelic magic powers all of a sudden, like seeing through a blindfold.
Right.
And I was totally in the space at the same time in the psychedelic realm, but I was like in between the worlds. It was really wild.
Yeah. I resonate with that, actually. I've had similar experiences. Like when you are tap into just being imagination, just pure imagination, you feel so infinitely powerful because our normal sense of imagination is kind of a constrained kind of human imagination, which has its powers, but it's not as powerful as pure imagination. like God's imagination. How I see things is like actually everything is imaginary, and God has infinite imaginary power, and it's so powerful that it can imagine that it's a human being, and it's so powerful that it can imagine that it's not imagining it.
Yeah.
So that's the way that God
But,
has the most real experience by kind of fooling itself that it's not God.
the divine double whammy.
Yeah.
So-
Right, exactly. So,
But then, after fooling itself into thinking it's not God, it fools itself again into thinking it's God.
but
So
in a
kinda-
different way.
Yeah,
because,
from the
like,
perspective of somebody who is not God.
yeah, thinking that you're God is not the same as knowing you're God.
Yeah, or being
think-
God.
It's actually like I don't know if you've heard this story from Ramdas and his brother. But essentially his brother, if I remember this correctly, his brother had a messiah complex. And he got into legal trouble with this. And
Interesting. Did not know.
And Ramdas, he told the story of visiting his brother, and his brother is saying something like, well, I don't understand. You go around saying that you're Jesus, and the law is not coming after you. And Ramdas essentially said, well, the difference is I'm saying I'm Jesus, but so is everybody else. But you're claiming that you and exclusively you are Jesus. And that's the difference between us.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, Helgi, that's a wonderful place to end the episode right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, we are all Jesus.
Yeah.
That-
Right.
That's what the point was.
But you gotta have a long hair and a beard, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or else you're not in the club.
Yeah.
But growing long hair and a beard only takes so long, you can
Yeah.
join.
I'm sorry,
in
women.
time.
You're not included in all the world's biggest,
too.
wisdom traditions.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? It's all fucking guys. And
Yeah.
their messiah complexes.
Yeah, except Jesus. He thought everybody was Jesus.
Yeah, it's true. But
But he was also a guy, that's true.
yeah, they don't write as much about Maria.
Yeah, I
Magdalene.
mean, honestly, yeah, women didn't really exist until like 1850 if you check the history records.
Right. It's like, oh.
There's no mention of them.
They got invented there.
Yeah. Around 1850, they invented women. It was a great upgrade.
Yeah,
All right.
Right.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you next time.
Indeed.
Well, before we leave you. Okay, everybody, thanks for listening to today's episode of the Hewkii Flammeus show. Before we go, we'd like to leave you with a song. As always, this time we're doing my song Elven Dream for my latest album, most recent album, 2024 release, ASAP, as sane as possible. And it's a song that was inspired by Tolkien mythology as well as Icelandic folklore, both of which include elves. I'd say mostly the main message of the song is just the elven dream of being the best version that we possibly can be of ourselves. Because in Tolkien's Legendarium, in which Lord of the Rings takes place, elves are, you have the orcs, and you have the men, and you have the elves. And the orcs are kind of the twisted, disgusting, demonic form of humans, and elves are the perfected, ideal form of humans. It is the idea. And yeah, that's what I wanted to convey with that name, at least, that elven dream. And the lyrics say that vast and eternal hearts that can't be broken slumber in our elven dream, which is what that's all about. Let us all be the best versions we can be of ourselves. What did you think, though, Hughes? What landed for you?
Yeah.
We just listened to it together, by the way.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard this song. Actually, I was in the north, and I was driving towards your hometown, Akureyri.
Huh.
And, since I was doing that, I hadn't listened to your album all the way through at that point. So I was like, well, it seems on theme that I run the whole thing through on the way. And I remember this particular song struck me especially more than the rest, mostly because of all the kind of the harmonic, melodic content, the movement of the chords is very pleasurable. It's like it's dissonant, but not really. So I mean,
Mm.
it it's not uncomfortably dissonant. It's very pleasurable.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad it lands that way because the compositional idea I was playing around with here was using, oh God, I forgot the theoretical term for this, but using notes on chords that wouldn't work on the chord that came just before it, you know? And I do
Okay.
this all the time in the melody of this song. I'll just give you one quick example to show you what I mean.
I see exactly what you mean now in hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's this point in the melody right at the beginning when it goes, "Tell me something, sweetheart," right here over these two chords. What scenes come? What scenes? I sing a G natural over an A7 chord, which is the 7. What? And then I transition to a G sharp, which is the major 7 of the A7, and definitely wouldn't work over an A7. What scenes? If I keep the chord under a G sharp, it sounds terrible. But because I transition to a different chord, it gives us a different context where a G sharp actually sounds good. What
Yeah.
scenes? So, and that's kind of found all over the composition. If anybody wants the PDF with the lead sheet to analyze them, just let me know. I have it all written out.
Yeah, it's very pleasurable. I dig the song a lot. It was my favorite from this album, for sure. I
Nice.
remember I remember exactly where I was when I heard it. I was driving into Akureyri and going into one of the first roundabouts in the town. And
One of the only.
yeah, right.
That's-
You probably know exactly which one I'm talking about. And I definitely felt the kind of the Icelandic mythology vibes, but I was not aware of the Tolkien connection. It's interesting. I was not aware of this kind of racial hierarchy Tolkien had for his
Yeah,
characters.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like it's. I definitely see the connection, but I also see how this can be misapplied because I think being an orc is also a very valid part of being human, and I think sometimes it gets demonized, like you're not supposed to let out your kind of more ugly sides or kind of your more brutish. Uh,
Yeah, totally. But I think the point is just to show that we have all of that.
yeah.
And if we can, then let us choose to be the best versions of ourselves that we can, but also let's not be hard on ourselves when we make mistakes.
Yeah.
Except in Lord of the Rings, Aragorn does very much go and kill every single orc.
Right. Yeah. I
But it's
mean,
metaphorical. It's
yeah.
metaphorical for humanity destroying its uglier tendencies within itself and ascending because the elves do ascend as well in the story. They go off to heaven essentially, and the
Okay.
orcs get destroyed.
I want to challenge this.
Okay.
What if the the more ideal solution would be to accept and love the more ugly or supposedly ugly side of ourselves, because I think a lot of the trouble we've run into is thinking that the world has good and it has evil, and good needs to destroy evil. And this is how a lot of people do evil, is that they delude themselves thinking that they're on the side of good, and then they go on a mission to destroy evil or what they perceive as evil, and thereby do a lot of evil.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, a big theme in The Lord of the Rings is also that good can prevail without compromising its morals. They never do anything evil in the books, at least. It's like they make a point of showing even once the evil
right.
men have been defeated and they're at their mercy after the siege of Helm's Deep. There's not just orcs there in the books. There's evil men as well who are
Yeah.
the wild men out of the anyway, whatever. And they make a point of being like they plead for their mercy and they are granted mercy after the battle,
Right.
after they are
Yeah, they
defeated.
are on a mission to destroy the world. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
You could love the orcs, but like, hey, I'm sorry, like you guys, this is not.
Yeah, I
Gonna
mean,
work. You gotta,
this is not going to work for us, guys.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Like if you were behaving better, we could, sit around and have our hippie drum circle and smoke our weed. But you guys.
Apparently, you gotta kill us all. So we gotta do something about that.
Right. Right before we head off, I did want to mention one thing.
Yeah.
I've gotten back to dripping out some music.
Oh yeah.
So it's this album. It's been a long time in the making. It's a big project and a lot of collaborations. And I've decided, just since I'm going through a mastering process, of just starting to release one by one a few of the singles. And I think honestly our collab may be amongst those, if that is.
Oh God, it's coming up. Yes,
Yeah.
Finally.
I mean, once we get it mastered, I think that's something.
That's the intro jingle for the podcast, guys.
Yeah.
It's finally coming out.
Yeah, it's gonna be soon enough, and so if you feel like checking out some of my new music, we'll have it at some point in the outro as well. But you can go and check that out. We can leave a links in the show notes, and or you can just find Hewkii on Spotify or wherever you listen.
But before you do that, listen to my song.
Right? Yeah, I just wanted to sneak that one in there, since it's been a while since I've been releasing, and finally there's new stuff coming out, which feels good. So,
Great celebration. Yes, let's get one of those for the next episode.
Indeed.
Hallelujah. Here's Elven Dream, everybody. Till next time.
See ya.
Tell me something, sweetheart. What seems come rushing to the screen of your closed eyes? Do they disturb your sweet and peaceful guise? Over misty mountains you tread, and never doubt that you are on your own. Can you not sense my kin in every stone? Far, oh so far is my watchful sight, and when the sun sinks under the horizon, that's when stars shine. Somewhere far removed from man's regime, vast and eternal, hearts that can't be broken slumber in my elven dream. Long, oh so long slumber in my elven dream. Vast and eternal, hearts that can't be broken, slumber in